Hey all, Brad here with another post-repair video. This is a Joust complete board set with a power supply, linear power supply. It's not the standard Joust power supply, it's more of the Defender style. They did use that on some early Moon Patrol. They did use it on some early Stargate as well. I haven't seen it on a Joust, but the mounting plate for the soundboard and then the power supplies, whether it's the two-piece linear or the one piece, both will fit on the mounting plate. So this is a perfectly viable option. The only downside of using this linear power supply over the two-piece one is they implemented kind of a add-on for some late defenders, and then on the Stargates was a over voltage protection board that kind of went between your harness and the linear power supply. And basically what that is it has a couple Zener diodes that are set for certain voltage thresholds, one for the 5 volts, one for the 12 volts, and if they exceed those, um, that triggers a small transistor, which in turn drives an SCR silicone controlled rectifier, which that circuit is called a crowbar circuit. So the analogy is stuffing a big crowbar into an electrical panel to short it out, and that's basically what it does. It dead shorts those leads. So this power supply, these one-piece linear supplies do not have that over voltage protection. I don't know how often. I mean, I suppose if you get a surge or something at home, you could see that, but and you can add the over voltage board to this power supply. So there you have it. So let me switch over to the bench cam. I'll kind of go over what we did, what this is, and then we'll do some gameplay at the end. So there's the bench cam fired up. And I guess since we're back here, I'll start with the linear power supply. So here it is again. It's the one piece kind of Defender Stargate version. Make Tracks used it also, and some of the early Moon Patrols that I'm aware of. So this thing gets stripped down. There's some photos. I'll try to put a link of those in the comment section to a Google photo album, but completely stripped down, washed in simple green bath. I do remove the labels. I'm able to get those off without damaging and then reapply them. And then as I rebuild it, I put in a 10-turn precision potentiometer here for the 5-volt adjustment. We socket both of the regulators. These have brand new voltage regulators on them, the 723s, all new electrolytics, all new Molex headers. These are the correct, not those strip ones you break. These actually, I order them based on how many pins I need. Um, Big electrolytics back here. This one's for the 5 volts. This is for the 12 volt. We have a 12 volt bridge rectifier new. We also have the minus 5 volt rectifier new. I pull all the fuses, recrimp the kind of friction holders here so they're tight. I clean up the fuses with some Scotch-Brite pad. This was missing a fuse. Not sure what was up with that. And then this large bridge rectifier here, BR1 for the 5 volt, that's new. And then I do put a custom heat sink on that I think matches and looks really good with these. And boy, it sure does dissipate a lot of heat. So I'm pretty sure that if they would have done that early on, they would see a lot less failures on these linear supplies. So it works good. This also has green LEDs. I guess I can power cycle it here real quick. I do have a little remote control so you can see them here, but you can see the three LEDs on there. So those are basically the +5 here, you get +12 here, and -5 there. And they're not necessarily indicating that the voltage is correct, just that it's present within a certain threshold. So if you do see those lights on your power supply, don't necessarily think your power's perfectly adjusted or where it needs to be, but it does indicate that the majority of the circuitry is working. So back to the soundboard. Uh, this guy, most of the boards here were pretty filthy. They've been in storage or somewhere for a long time, but that's pretty typical of what we get here. So stripped down, simple green, all new headers, all new electrolytics, new bridge rectifier, um, pulled the ROM, CPU, straightened and cleaned the legs on those. Um, Overall cleanup on it quite a bit. This here's a 10 microfarad uh, tantalum that I install here. If there's an aluminum electrolytic, I'll replace. We also put a couple tantalums here for decoupling, and then there's 5 of the large axial leaded um, aluminum electrolytics. So, and then I do pull the fuses, same thing as on the other board, and I recrimp these so they're real tight to get the fuse in. And I also tighten up the screws here, replace the heatsink compound behind the amplifier and the 7805 voltage regulator. So soundboard's been tested, ready to go. Back here on the ROM board, new ribbon cable, new Molex headers in all three locations, new filter caps. This was stripped as well. All the labels removed. Simple green bath. All the boards got that treatment here in this case. The special chips here, the blitters, were pulled, cleaned, leg straightened, deoxit. Same thing with all the EPROMs. This is a yellow ROM set, which is an early one. I believe this still has the pterodactyl bug in it. Most people didn't really leverage that, but they did change the version after this. Looks like maybe one factory reproduction ROM too, because these labels were later. And the interesting thing about this ROM board too, being an early Joust, is you can see here there's a sticker that says this board uses Type A ROM. So basically, Williams early on with most of their games, they used 2532 4K EPROMs, and later those were kind of TI based Texas Instruments kind of exclusive. The pinout was a little different from the rest of the world. It was using 2732s. Then again, 4K EPROM, almost identical pinout except two pins were flipped. So the later version, the B ROMs they call them, are the 2732s, and all the anything Stargate was originally 2532s, and then some of the early Jousts like this were 2532s, and then after that they abandoned those altogether for game ROMs. They still used them on the soundboards, but Robotron, the later Joust, Sinistar, Bubbles, all the way down the line, Splat, all used 2732 4K EPROM. So anyway, ROM board rock solid, IO board, new ribbon, electrolytic, two new 10-pin Molex headers, stripped down, simple green, labels reapplied. Didn't really find any smoking guns here. MPU was very problematic. Had seen the batteries had leaked, had seen quite a bit of corrosion. I typically insist on getting photos of the boards, and I did get on this, and it didn't look terrible. If you look at the photos here, the crystal was, these are steel, was really oxidized bad, and I'm like, I got a ton of these. I'll just pop a new one on. Pulled the battery holder, cleaned up this area, put a new CR2450 on it. New tantalum down here for the soft start. We've got three Nichicon electrolytics here for the filter caps, -5, +5, and 12 volts. New headers here. Pulled the decoders and cleaned them as well as the CPU. So I put this on the bench, got it powered up, had RAM errors. So we found right here, I think 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bad RAM, 4116D RAM, which is not uncommon. If that power supply was getting pretty sketchy, that'll having the incorrect power will take out these. So I got it to boot, and then it was unable to store the settings. Like it said, the coin door is open, and that's with the memory protect, either the memory protect circuit or the SRAM CMOS, which turned out to be the case here. It was the CMOS RAM that stores the settings and high scores. So I do socket that and then put in the a new IC there for the SRAM CMOS. Those tend to fail. Just being CMOS are more sensitive to voltage issues or static and things like that. So that's new. And then after running the game for a while, got a RAM error pop back. So I thought, oh, maybe a RAM failed. So I swapped it out. Same issue. Well, it turns out that there was a 7474 Type D flip-flop here and a 7410 that was a little sketchy. I hit them with a heat gun, and they sure enough would act up all the time. And again, keep in mind this is right in the battery area where we have that off-gassing. And so these were pretty corroded. So I swapped those out. There's the chips there. There's the CMOS RAM and then the DRAM. And then I also return, as I showed in other videos, all of the parts. You got the ribbon cables and all the electrolytics. I mean, it's a lot of parts get changed out here. I also do uh, the Zener diode here for the 5-volt protection. That helps protect the CMOS if the voltages are wrong. Basically, the original value was 3.6 volts, which would allow that voltage to get down to 3.6 before pulling reset, and the new value I put in is 4.7. So TTL can still operate at 4.7, so you typically will not see any corruption of the CMOS if you're running a switching power supply or having issues with your linear. So that's the board set up, ready to go. I'll switch over to the gameplay cam, I guess we'll call it, which I'm actually capturing digitally, audio as well. So let me switch over here. So I do have a remote control here on the test bench. I do have some of my other games out in my arcade, but the bottom one I use just for the test bench. So I can power it up, and you'll see going a nice clean carpet rug pattern there. And then I also have, I've shown in other videos here, a PlayStation controller that I've mapped over to a microcontroller that I've programmed to basically decode the buttons, and then I can map them and then drive basically contact closures to simulate, grounding the inputs just like a leaf switch or something would. So I pretty much use this on my bench for any games. I'll map JAMA, mostly Williams stuff, obviously, but trying to keep control panels and real joysticks around are just a real pain. And having these analog sticks is great for certain games where I'm trying to emulate a 49-way optical or analog or anything else. I can have full control as long as I can capture the inputs here. I can convert them to whatever I want on the output side. So let me coin it up. Sounds like we've got good audio, and we'll do a little gameplay here. Get that last one. Keep in mind, I'm a much better repair guy than a arcade player, so I'm dropping into diagnostics here, so you can see all ROMs okay, and then it goes in automatically after that to a RAM test, similar to when you first boot. That's basically what's run. It runs a RAM test, and then if that's successful, it'll test the ROMs, then the CMOS, and if those three independent, we'll call them apps or executables, if those three programs run and pass the test, then it loads the actual game code, which in this case is Joust, but it's the same test routines that they're using for the other Williams games as well. So again, it's just looping through random, writing random values to the RAM and reading it back over and over. And the way these boards work is anything that's in the RAM gets read out and displayed. So you're basically just seeing random characters that are being written into the RAM displayed out visually. So no RAM errors, and then we'll drop in no CMOS errors. It takes a minute for that to basically write data out and read it back, and it keeps the upper areas protected again, because when you run this test, you're not losing your settings or your high scores and those sorts of things. So here's some sound test. We'll loop through 5 or 6, and back to 1. Yep. And then here's the switch test. And again, I test the I/O board with the Splat ROM board, so I test all 18 inputs on the board. It has a 2 10-pin header, so you have 20 physical connections. 2 of those are ground, and then there's 18 inputs. And Splat is the only game that actually utilizes all 18 inputs, so I use that ROM board on my bench to test them. I actually wrote a routine where I can drive each one individually, and then if all 18 are good, then I know any of the other Williams games that use that I/O board it's going to be 100% with. So, and then we'll go into testing some of the color RAM, and then you get the grid lines for setting your convergence when you're working on your monitor, solid red, green, blue, and then we go into color bars, then bookkeeping, and then back to your settings here where you can reset your factory settings, bookkeeping, high scores, set a track messages. If you want free play, you enable that here. There's all kinds of settings and things you can do. And then after that, we'll go straight back into a track mode. And again, this had run 24 hours on the bench initially, and I did come downstairs after getting it going in the evening, and it had some errors. It was locked up with a RAM error, and I used a heat gun. Figured out we had those couple ICs that were sitting above the the old battery holder with the double A's that off-gassed and leaked their alkali. We got those fixed, and then it did run another 24 hours. So this board has plenty of runtime on it. Very, very highly confident it will be robust, and we'll catch you back here in the next video. Thanks for watching.